Yeah. Great. Now we'll call the meeting to order. So it's being recorded. Great. And roll call. I haven't really done that before. Well, I just said welcome to all of you. And Greg, thank you for joining.
So is this everybody?
This is not
Or person committee?
I didn't
is
know.
it everybody for now? No, Cherie. We're missing
Oh,
Cherie.
she's not doing it.
Okay, I didn't know that. All right. But yeah, it's just with Cherie, that is our group currently. So we have two vacancies. And Calaros, thank you for joining committee and look forward to getting some momentum going again. So approval of the agenda, it's an agenda that I have pretty much carried over from previous meetings. And so it, as I said in the email I sent, it doesn't really reflect the importance of our filling our vacancies before doing business. It's basically our work. The Board of Trustees tasked us with addressing 7 issues, and we've already addressed some, and the remaining issues are listed here. So we can think of this agenda as our work plan and not as something we're going to try to get through tonight.
It's a pretty long packet.
Well, the agenda is 2 pages.
No, but I mean the packet.
The packet, yeah, yeah. We've got we've got enough to do tonight with really just talking about filling the vacancies. I did want to just acknowledge the recording glitch. Or maybe we should approve the agenda first. Okay, with that kind of disclaimer that it doesn't really reflect the priority, which is action item number 1 of the process for filling committee vacancies. It does kind of represent our work plan. So with that, I'm wondering if we can just approve it as is and carry on.
Motion to approve.
Motion carried, agenda approved. Under the second thing, the recording glitch for the meeting of June 2nd, just to acknowledge that wasn't recorded for whatever technical reason or.
We also had issues that same night with the work session that followed. So it could have been human error, it could have been technical glitch, it could have been one of the two, but all of that was that. I was sitting over here, so sorry.
Okay, we are recording now.
We are recording.
And one of the things that came up at the last meeting when there was only just 2 of us is to have some discussion of quorums and meeting cancellation. That's something that maybe we could postpone in favor of talking about filling our committee vacancies, or we could have some relatively short conversation about that. What's the sense of the group? We found ourselves with 2 committee members, which did not technically represent a majority quorum, but we decided to continue to have the meeting anyway and just have any decisions be tentative. And so, I captured those results. It was actually a pretty productive meeting. We took a lot of public input, and that's all captured in the executive summary. But so there's currently 4 of us, so we might want to talk about how we want to think of a quorum and if we want to have meetings without a quorum, or if they should just.
We have a quorum right now.
This is except for Cherie, for short one.
It's a missing appointed public. It's still a quorum.
Well, they're not, the seats aren't filled, so
Right, that's
they're
my
not.
question. Does that count or no?
I'm thinking something in the interim,
Uh-huh.
just for us. this group here with Cherie. And
But
then,
4 out of 6 is still a quorum. So even though this position's not filled,
there's two, actually.
yeah, but,
Yes.
there's 2 other ones?
Two,
So, well,
yeah.
It's still a quorum.
It is a quorum.
That extra seat was just added. So without counting that one, because it has, it would be okay. And it was acknowledged by the Board of Trustees that you guys needed new members, so
Right.
you guys can absolutely make appointments.
Yeah,
and Scott, you don't count as part of quorum.
oh, that's right.
So you're facilitator. Unless we bump you into committee seat.
I guess I'm mostly just thinking about maybe our next meeting,
Right.
you know?
Right.
If there's 2 people, do we have the meeting?
I mean, I feel that if they can't make decisions, while it did, the last one was productive, maybe not everyone would be. And so if there's no decisions gonna be made, then the public is also, sitting in, waiting for progress. So if we know only 2, or we know, we don't have a quorum to make decisions ahead of the meeting, we cancel it, is my suggestion. If we arrive at the meeting and someone's missing, we didn't know, then make the call at that time, depending on how many people from the public are present, and
And a quorum being a majority.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what happened
quorum.
last time. We didn't realize that there was only gonna be 2 of us.
Right.
Okay.
Because my question though right now is, the order of business in front of us really is appointing these other people, right? So can we proceed with that without a quorum, just so we can make sure we get the business done, because
Well,
otherwise.
so we have a quorum tonight, for sure.
3 out of the original 5 seats, but then we're adding 1, so that's not yet. I counted. So, I don't know, Sarah, what is that?
Well, do you even count Julie's vacant seat? She's not a part of the committee anymore.
Well, I think if it was originally a 5-member, then we have to think about the original 5-member structure. And so quorum would be 3 out of 5, and we have that. And we don't have to think about that 6th additional seat in Ken quorum.
Even
that
in
right?
statute, there's things that are in place for in like Board of Trustee situations where people have resigned or something has happened and they needed to reappoint new members. That rescheduling a meeting to a time when you would have a quorum if you had a possibility of a quorum about it, but you guys have a quorum for tonight. So after you appoint that new citizen member though, then your stuff shifts. But for now, you're fine.
So
we have a quorum.
do you wanna make a motion out of that, Sam?
Sure. Yeah, but if we don't have if we know in advance of the meeting that we won't have a quorum, recommend a motion that we cancel the meeting as a practice. And if we arrive to the meeting and don't have a quorum, make that judgment call. Maybe prior to beginning the meeting.
And just have any applicants be tentative.
Mhm.
Okay,
Right.
is there a second on that?
Yeah.
Motion passed, great. Thank you. Posting of agendas on the STR page, is that happening now, staff? So instead of having to like scroll through, it just seemed to me ways.
I know we talked about doing it. I can't answer that question because I was out of the office for a little bit and stuff, so I'm not sure if it can happen for this one.
Okay, yeah,
If you get packet or something.
Calrose, if you could just.
Yeah, instead of just we have to
It's right on the town page, this committee comes up, like
It's on the page. of
close to
all
the top of the
Right, I was seeing if it's in
the
both
list, once
places.
you click on the
It may very well still
Or
So,
No, it is not there right now on the STR page. It's still just the meeting summary, survey and video.
okay,
So. And
okay,
there was so much there between canceling meeting, having a resignation and having to go to the board. And like I said, a lot of staff, we've kind of been taking turns being out of the office, so.
but it makes sense to.
Yeah, no, and it will be,
Okay,
it was something that was talked about and it probably just dropped with all the chaos, so our apologies.
all right. So moving on to action items. Process for filling committee vacancies. We have in our packet the original applications, starting on page 3.
so for some reason I didn't get that. I just got your agenda. I didn't get the packet. You keep scrolling. Okay. It should be there. Try opening. I thought the same and then I.
Yeah, should be a 32-page packet that was emailed.
Yes, okay. Yeah. Got it. Sorry about that. The agenda.
So this gives us names. Why do you want to be on the committee? Why do you think voters voted to repeal the STR ordinance? All members must agree to the following. To come prepared.
I did Stefan might have to fill out one.
Yeah, I don't, it seemed like everybody who ended up on the committee filled these out. Julie, Sam, Stefan. So I guess one of the things that has been suggested is that we start our search process by just looking at these applications and see if there's anybody who applied who wasn't invited to be on the committee, who might be a good candidate and might still be interested. So I'm seeing Deborah Spiegel. I believe Deborah's been coming to the meetings. I know Jaylene is in here.
And then Owana.
Okay, there's Owana Ford. I don't know if has she been coming to the meetings, do we know?
I don't think so. If it's the one I'm thinking of.
Okay,
No, actually, sorry. I'm thinking of a totally different person.
okay, yeah, I don't know. And then Eileen. And that's it. That's not a lot to choose from. So I know Jaylene's name has come up. Came up in my conversation with Cherie also. So Greg, Jaylene is someone who's been very active in the committee and been coming to most of the meetings, is very prominent in Common Ground. Maybe the initial organizer, I'm not sure. But a strong voice for minimal regulations.
There was discussion at the last meeting that a representative of Common,
There was.
Yeah, she would be a representative of Common Ground.
I mean, they suggested naming somebody from that.
Right,
So I think that fulfills that.
it would. And we could, the committee could agree to have someone reach out to her and invite her to come to the.
Would, so are we gonna, sorry, invite her to, I interrupted you, I apologize, invite her to do what?
To join our committee, we could have more of a process around deciding on folks. I mean, we know Jaylene, So that, that's sort of an easier decision, I think, based on what we know. I mean, Sam and I know her from her participation in the meeting. Sam better than I, since she's been on the committee longer. Do you want to say something about?
Well, I'm just wondering, we have only 3 people left in the list. And if they're all still interested or not, maybe that's the first step, is just seeing who's interested, because if Alana's not, then we're left with 2. And if one of them's not, we're in a whole new situation.
Yeah.
So I think maybe the first step is just seeing who's still interested, given time of the year, et cetera, et cetera. Sure, STR are really busy this next time. So one of the reasons we, so.
And I'm reading from Oana's, yeah, and it might be moot, because she may not want to do it.
Yeah,
So you're saying just start by reaching out.
see, who's interested still.
Yeah, and if she is, maybe we could, do a little homework on our own prior to the next meeting, reading what she had written earlier, and
Yeah,
maybe have some kind of interview process, live and in person.
Like to make a motion that we ask staff to reach out to all 3 applicants that were not previously on and see if they're still interested and available. And if so, if they would be willing to come into the next meeting and speak with us. Because I do think we should, this is not an emotion, that's the motion. I do think we should have a little bit more of a formal process, just to say, we asked people and they said yes, and then if they don't want to, and we need to solicit for other people, then we can do the same thing and have a meeting where we say, if you're interested in coming, you can come to this meeting and speak to it. And then we'd have a way to see some more folks.
Yeah.
I know that takes more time though, so I'm open to other suggestions.
Does that make sense as staff, for staff to do that, or, I mean, I could also do that. I know, what's that?
It would work either way.
Okay. Cause I know it was really put on the committee to run to do this, get this done.
Well, if you're willing to do it, and it's okay.
I'll go ahead and do it.
Amend my motion to ask the facilitator to please formally reach out to each of the prior applicants. See if they're still interested and available, if they would be willing to come to the next meeting. Along with other potential applicants to speak to their interest.
Second.
question is along with other potential applicants, what would that be?
If they all say they're not interested,
Uh-huh.
or 2 out of 3 says they can,
Right.
then we should have time to solicit other people publicly and say at the next meeting, please come if you're interested in applying. So I'm trying to combine the process of following up with them and also setting a date for an open process that could include them or other people. That we might want to consider if we're asking people to come and publicly say why they want to join. If we don't want to do it that way, then we don't need to.
And probably time-wise, we probably need 2 more meetings before we could have people.
We need to.
And just in terms of time, if
If you ask the 3 to show up, if they're interested,
right,
and they don't, or they say no, that's the next meeting, and then you have to advertise more publicly, that's the second meeting.
right.
I guess I was thinking of. If this meeting is how often? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. If you were to reach out to them, Scott, and they get back to you within a week, we still have a week to advertise if we need other public members there. So just by saying to them, and potentially other applicants, it lets them know that there are other people being considered. And it gives us the space that if 2 out of 3 or 2 out of one out of three says they can't do it, then we can still have time to solicit to the public and put them all in the same meeting, which would be the next.
So members of the public would have a week notice to come to the following meeting and
Yeah.
submit. Like maybe the same application questions.
I think
before,
this once,
just
yeah.
take simple.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is the process for getting the word out to the public?
Use text my gov, we could use the website. We
We
can-
have a town Facebook page as well.
Uh, there's a email list associated with that. Text. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, if we hear back from. We hear back from two that they want to, are we also soliciting other interest?
Cause we could do both, we
We
could
could do
just
both.
advertise it right now,
Yeah,
and if they're interested, invite them to come to. And you're doing it quicker.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. I think that's a better idea.
Do that, okay,
It's quicker.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and that might get us a broader pool.
right.
Okay. So there was a motion.
So I need to amend my motion. I need to amend my motion to direct, yes.
I'm sorry, I can save you so much time. There was discussion, so that motion died for lack of a second, so you can just start all over.
I'd like to make a motion. Direct the facilitator Scott Brown to reach out to prior applicants. See if they're still interested, and also for the town to provide public notice of open. Seats on the committee, and provide the same questionnaire. To new interested applicants with the intent to. Invite applicants to speak on their interest at the next STR meeting. 2 weeks.
Second.
Motion approved. I will need contact information for these folks that are that I need to reach out to, because there isn't any provided in really on this sheet. It's been blacked out for privacy. And for the purposes of our packet tonight. So I'm assuming it's on file. So I'll reach out. So that was our big task for today, was to come up with that process. The next action item was to review the results of the last meeting. So we could do that, if that would be helpful. There's an executive summary that outlines basically everything that we did. And shall we look at that? You see it on page 18.
Getting through.
Okay, yeah, feel free to skim it and see if there's any discussion that wants to happen.
I think well, we could go 1, 2, 3. I have a comment for number 3.
Okay.
On the action items. Does anybody have one for the first 2? Privately, a primary residence. I'm not sure what the minimum time frame is to be considered to be for tax purposes. That's your primary, but the reside for at least 183 days per year seems low. Another option is where someone is registered to vote. That's a simple way. Otherwise, I'm not quite sure how you determine how many days per year someone lives in a home.
Right,
That's really difficult.
boy,
So how would we enforce that? And I think that, whole home rentals is probably the larger issue within the purpose of the ordinance. So I'd like to explore that more.
Who's keeping track of 183 days?
right,
It would just be self-report.
I agree that voter residence is much easier to track. It's voter registration when you're registered to vote.
and that would be in the county.
At that address.
Well, it would still be the town. The county would keep track.
The record is from the county.
Okay, yeah. Somebody could register to vote while they live in Paonia in Delta County and then move outside of Paonia, but stay in Delta County and re-register to vote.
No, you put your address,
Mm-hmm.
so wherever you live is in that record. It doesn't just say Delta.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they do need to live in, is it Paonia or Delta County? For
That residence.
Yeah.
It is.
Right, but for purposes of the ordinance.
Well, ordinance is only applicable to the town of Paonia. So.
I think that's what they're gonna.
So registered to vote in Paonia.
Yeah.
At that specific street address. And I mean, it's like, no need to reinvent the wheel, and I'm not educated enough on how these ordinances are enacted in small towns with fewer resources than large cities, where the method might be different, but it seems like a spelt elegant way to do it. However, there might be better mechanisms, or if we do want to know that they are there 2/3 of the year or what have you. But I'm not educated if what other ways are we used to track primary residents? Determine.
Yeah.
You don't want to get too into the weeds with that. Like, you don't want to say, I want to see your tax return.
Right.
That's getting a little close.
It's not gonna fly very well.
There's a lot of.
But there are other ways to determine. It's just the ones that want to get around something will figure out a way to get around it.
Always, yeah.
Whatever you measure, they'll find a way.
Well, those seem like really excellent points. Should we, given that we wanted to fill all of our seats before doing official business, should we just capture that
Yeah.
as
Take note.
a suggestion?
To come back to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll capture that in the executive summary. And I also have what I'm calling a living document, which is just where I've only facilitated 2 meetings so far. This is the 3rd. But where I've captured what we've done. It's actually been a fair bit, and something of not so much the public comment, because that's in the executive summary, but just like the nuts and bolts of what we've done.
Mhm.
And so I can show that anytime. That can be a part of the packet. Or when we need to really look at, our whole list of 7 items.
Mhm.
But I like this suggestion for this number 3 here, Sam.
Pretty simple.
What's that?
That's a pretty simple.
And I think that's one of our intentions, is to keep it simple.
And I'm noting like the committee took a lot of public comment and 3 main themes. One of the themes was shift the focus from owner to resident occupied. And that is subtle, but the where you register to vote seems to line up with resident occupied.
Yeah.
So you don't want this to be an owner, it can be a renter doing an STR. Most of them tie it to an owner.
Yeah, although I guess I read that differently. I read it as an owner focused room, and that's for the single room rental, right? Maybe I read it incorrectly.
So there's the definition, Rodney, right, there's the definition of a single bedroom. And then there's there's the definition of owner occupied versus non-owner occupied, whether that's a single room or a whole home. Does that make sense? Okay. So it's just the definitions. But that's a good point, Greg, of like
Most cities that do this track the owner.
owner, yeah. Yeah.
That's what like Airbnb and all of them require too.
Yeah.
And are we talking about owner occupied for single bedroom rentals, or it's
Or anything that licenses an STR.
right? So
Yeah.
that's that, yeah.
I think I understand the functional intent though of those comments of like non-resident units should be the sole purpose.
So
Maybe I
there's-
don't know. But that's
So when I read the non-resident unit should be sole focus. Is that they're saying, I mean, maybe this is why I'm dyslexic, but a non-resident unit is the owner unit. So it's the owner renting out a single bedroom, but that's maybe why I'm confused.
Resident lets it be a rental.
And when it says non-resident units. So I'm just confused.
Resident as in someone who lives in California and is the owner is not a resident. But someone who lives in Paonia and owns 3 properties is a resident.
Okay.
I think.
So we're wanting to prioritize, and not necessarily regulate or overregulate locals. It's the theme of that.
I think that just seems,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Copy.
yeah, so there was a lot of time for public comment. This one last time, so yeah, these were 3 of the themes that came up that they kind of resonated with a lot of the people in the room, with, I guess it was just Julie and myself at that point.
I would suggest if you're gonna use resident, and that's the goal, to call it owner resident. Then you're covering both,
There you go.
Okay.
or resident owner, or something like that, but tie that it's someone living here and
And it loops back to what's the primary residence. Right? An owner. Primary residence here is. Prioritized, I guess. If
Yeah,
versus an owner who's not, their primary residence is not here.
the one thing that is a problem with that is the ones that let the owner not be a resident always have a requirement that there's a manager within 15-20 minutes or something like that. But it always creates a disconnection. Being able to kind of get your hands on the owner is a good thing.
Yeah.
yeah, that was in the original ordinance, right? Something about being able to respond in 15 minutes or something.
Bad experiences when the owners don't reside in the town.
Mhm.
Even if there's a management company, they may not have. Like unless there's an individual, it's sometimes they can't get there, sometimes they're after hours, people are out of the country, like it can be a bad situation.
Yeah,
And it also opens up the space for a lot of like kind of private equity type larger firms to come in and buy and manage short-term rentals if you don't have the owner
yeah.
in residence.
Any other comments on in the executive summary here?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be tricky when we get to E in the forum, because we, we're asked to define owner occupied versus non-owner occupied. Um. Yeah, if we're adding other definitions or if we're breaking apart those, we were directed to define those. So, just a thought,
You could combine some of these, though,
yeah.
saying that the owner resident must be registered to vote at that address. So you're pushing those together.
For it to be a primary resident.
Yeah.
Residence, yeah.
Then you're not creating a whole bunch of definitions that make it harder to read the document.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
And after that, it's a secondary or other residence, but it's just a non-primary residence. Is the residence in which the owner is not registered to vote. It's just like the inverse. And that kind of simplifies it. And we're not, right now, we're not saying, well, these are allowed and those aren't, this gets 59. We're not talking about that. It's just distinguishing between those types.
These are just definitions.
Yes. The hard stuff. Yeah, we'll finally get people at the table.
Yeah. Yeah, those last three things are outlined under where it says next meeting. 3 remaining items the committee is tasked with addressing. And the last meeting, one of the meetings, we talked about addressing them in particular order that could be changed, but
Can you say that again, Scott? I was finishing thinking of my last.
okay, just that the last 3 items that we haven't dealt with at all are outlined here in the executive summary. And it says the committee agreed to address them in this order.
Right.
So the committee could agree to change that, but as it is, number of maximum STR licenses offered by the town, and what this number is based on is up to that next. One other item that is probably worth addressing is that my contract has me working only until July 31st.
What?
Which would mean, I mean, it's also states that it can be extended,
Okay.
but
for
yeah, I guess that was it. So we may want to ask the trustees to extend that deadline.
Can I ask staff how much of the allocated budget for facilitator Brown has been spent to date? Do you guys know how much it was allocated?
Not off the top,
Is it stored somewhere you could access?
not right this moment now, the person who's gonna have that insert is left with me. So. Far better use of the time.
Yeah, I certainly never heard a number on that.
Interesting, okay. So do you know of the hours you signed up for? Do you know how many hours you signed up to deliver?
that wasn't specified. It was just getting paid for the hour and a half and then 2 hours for each meeting of preparation follow-up for each meeting. So thus far, I've submitted 2 paychecks for 2 meetings. I think it came to $320 for each of those meetings.
Do you know how many meetings you anticipated having to date, or haven't had, like how many we've missed?
Missed probably 4. About 4.
So then my estimate is we probably do have the budget. If we've missed 4 of those meetings that you were going to attend and do follow up with. To just extend it without needing to also extend the budget, but we would need to confirm that with the overall budget.
Yeah. Yeah, there shouldn't be any need to, I wouldn't think there'd be any.
I'm not sure if, somebody can correct me if they know, if committees actually deal with the budget end, or if you say we would like to extend it, and then it has to go to the board with that background information as part of, a direct board decision.
Or I think as
Well-
the board is getting with the contract.
Yeah.
About the budget, so.
And during that case, if they came up in front of the board, you'd have all that budget information, it'd be provided as part of the item, so.
I think it's all a board issue. The committee just needs to request.
Right.
Is that a motion
Yeah.
in the waiting?
Yeah, I mean, to discuss a little bit more, I mean, I think that the board give us until the end of the calendar year to make recommendations, and while no one wants to drag it out longer than it needs to be, you know, obviously lots of unforeseen things, we lost members, blah, 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 like, here we are, it's July, and so hopefully we get people and we make some progress and be done by the end of the fiscal, but without dealing with budget and how the contract is written, I would motion, so we don't have to do this again, motion that the length of Scott's contract extend no later than the end of this calendar year, but that it be extended. And within that, you know, we've only budgeted for 10 meetings. Okay, we get to 10 meetings, that's a cliff, we have to reassess. But just so we don't have to motion on time frame again. And that's our max motion that we recommend to the board that Scott's contract be modified such that it does not expire July 31st, but continues through the end of the calendar year. Second that.
Motion passed, thank you.
Into it.
So rather than deal with other business at this point, I mean, there's a couple things left. I'd love to hear from the public that has shown up tonight. And then we can talk about what we need for the next meeting in terms of preparation materials for the packet. Is there a particular order you'd like to do those items in, or would you like to address the committee?
Just turn in.
And what's your name?
Surely.
You're sure, okay.
Yeah, I was going to mention though, you were discussing the agenda and it was on there. Cause I went and looked and I started printing it off. You were discussing that earlier. It's great.
I'm sorry, what was on the
We
agenda?
discussing whether the agenda was on the town,
Oh,
and it was, cause I tune in to see what's happening, what's there.
right. We're trying to get it located in a place that's just a little easier to find.
Well, you know, I don't know who told me, maybe it was Ruben. Ruben's been really good to advise me. But I think it was Ruben, you know, when you, it says government over on the left. And he said, check that and it drops down and right there is the ad hoc committee.
That's right.
Plus the other, you know, things about town. So it's much easier. It's a much easier way of finding it. Oh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that's where we also want to, so there's executive summary there, there's the meeting recording, there's the feedback form. And the new thing is we want the agenda for the next meeting there too. And I think that hasn't quite happened yet.
Is that where you found the agenda? You did?
That is where you,
I saw it and I mean, it was just like this. And
Okay.
I went to print it off and I only got one page, but the second page didn't have much on it anyways.
all right,
So I just wanted to add that.
okay. Thank you for being here, Shirley. So in terms of the next meeting, preparation materials, packet materials. We've typically had, the ready access to the ordinance that was overturned, to the common ground proposal, to any, oh, that's the other thing that, is in our packet, is we got some public comment.
Right.
So we may want to spend a couple moments, just perusing its comments, starting on page, looks like 21. Page 20.
Sort of confused by how it's broken up, but. They're just in. Oh. So it's up to the
Different questions.
dates, yeah, and there's. Different people answering. On different dates, and the dates go from most recent to least recent. Okay, this makes sense.
Yeah, it's just reading them straight. Me too. There's prompts.
Okay. Why is this person so all over the place? For people. It's sort of hard to read in this way. Is there like a different way to get it in the future? Otherwise, I mean, it's not impossible, but.
The program produces that as a PDF.
Got it.
It doesn't produce like a Word document or anything.
And are we not meant to know? Are they not? This.
And we come up with the questions.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's on page 22, it's just the please share your thoughts or comments about the meeting.
Mhm.
If we want specific questions, we need to let staff know now.
Mhm.
The format works okay for me, once I realized that was the prompt, and not just that they were separate, all separate comments. I don't have any specific questions for the next one, though. And then, we can send the same ones out, but
Well, I think given the priority of just filling the seats.
yeah,
Doesn't really suggest
right.
comment.
It's great, though. I mean, I will say I'm happy to see that we got like 6 people putting in public comments. It's really effective.
Yeah.
And there's some really good ideas in there.
Yeah.
And it shows the spectrum. Yeah,
It does show the
Oh, I
spectrum of opinion.
both ends and things in the middle. So that's useful, and I appreciate people's time when it's recording. People's time to keep coming to meetings, listening to meetings, or submitting comments. And did we didn't talk very much about, just so it's super public, that a seat has been added? Was that in the last board meeting?
The trustees.
The trustees, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's where it happened.
I will say that I did feel bad that the last item on the agenda for the last meeting was public comment. But we were 1 out of time, and 2, we had taken public comment throughout the meeting.
Yeah.
And that's my preference, so you'll notice that the agenda for this meeting doesn't put it at the end. Because I think this process of engaging the public as we go is more meaningful. So that was a little bit of a awkward.
Functionally, you got there.
Greg, any comments about the comments?
Well, they seem to be pointed at the question, so. It doesn't hurt to read these and take a look at what other ones are doing. I can read one right now that talks about Vale and Aspen Telluride. And they are very different communities. Should be treated differently than this one. When the community is almost 100% visitor related. I lived in Mount Crested Butte. That's a big visitor community. It's not the same thing as here. So they should have different rules.
Does it make sense to hang on to these for future reference?
Yeah.
And I wonder, staff, how can we organize that in terms of the packet? Can we have a kind of an ongoing section in the packet of public comments that aren't necessarily just the fresh ones, but like a history, a log of, especially these that are pointed, like they're not just general, they're pointed questions that I think could be useful to refer back to at some point. Can we do that for the packets, kind of in an
One, I mean, we could, the packet's gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I wonder if maybe a SharePoint folder or something might be better. Just because the packets get more intimidating the bigger they are.
Right.
And I do think the first one that we walked into was like 30 pages of information or something like that. Because it had all the different questions and.
the first packet?
Well, the first survey from when this committee restarted.
Okay. was pretty huge.
But we could set up a SharePoint folder that you.
Yeah,
want.
it's awesome.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you.
SharePoint.
Yeah.
SharePoint. Okay. Great. Okay. And that's something that, are we gonna continue to project things on the wall over here as needed? Okay, we could have done that tonight if we needed to.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay. Then, so that's something that we could look at together, that
Yeah,
particular,
yeah.
that folder. If we needed to,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, any of this stuff, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then that way too, you can, it'd actually be easier for you to find specific documents that way too, instead of having to scroll through 30 things to find the one you were looking for. It'd probably be a little bit easier for you to get to the specific information you're wanting to look at.
Okay.
And Samir, would that be publicly available
Yes.
just to committee members?
No.
Okay.
If you want to do it that way, then I'd suggest doing probably something with the website,
Yeah,
making it accessible.
well, and the survey results are all on the website
Right,
Yeah.
per meeting.
per meeting, and they're all in one page, just like back to back.
But yeah, set up a folder that same way that wouldn't work.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'll look at the website and see how, if they're already there in a way that's easy to look at them all, maybe we don't need additional layer of work.
Well, and we have talked in the past about setting up a share folder for you guys anyway, so you can share living documents that you were working on or
Mhm.
stuff like that anyway, so.
Okay,
Mhm.
And it's easy to do.
okay,
Mhm.
awesome, thank you.
And I know in the past, we've had the repealed ordinance and the common ground proposal and relevant municipal code in the packet. Can we continue to do that?
Yeah, and if
Okay.
it ever gets to a point where it's too big, we can actually also cut out sections of code that apply and add it to that same shared drive, so you're only actually seeing those parts of the code that are actually as deemed relevant.
Okay, and you had included, there's the executive summary from the earlier meeting in this packet, and there's also relevant zoning information, so why don't we carry that zoning information over to the next packet?
Okay.
Because we might be able to get into some of the nitty gritty then, we might not. And yeah, let's go ahead and have the repealed ordinance and the common ground proposal in the next meeting packet. What else?
Or
Should we once again have the applications for the committee seats?
yeah, and then maybe instead of, I'm not remembering, I mean, the common ground was just only maybe 7 or 8 pages or something. I don't know how long the ordinance is, but instead of having to print those each time, we're just like their handouts that we bring with us. Is that, I mean, that's maybe not kosher, but not make a meeting packet 20 more pages each meeting. Or if it's the same-
Remember the binder that you keep stuff in.
yeah, same information, if it's the same information and not
And
like
that is
that.
printed out.
Yeah,
Well, you're all accessing it online. You're using your phone and
True.
I was meant to bring my
But it is
computer.
like you have to go back and find the agenda. I don't, yeah. I like the idea of having someplace where it's all, you can access it all in one spot.
Yeah.
I mean, I could just make my own folder.
Right.
But if you find,
right.
but
And
what
I-
if I'm not there, I missed something, it'd be nice to have like a record of it all. Do we have files for this? Do we have shared files?
No, I can create one for you. My only caution there would be though, that if you just have your binder, there's gonna be, that means the public, they might not necessarily have that same information.
Or that
Without having to go back and look for it.
Copy.
So, I mean, it's fine, it means it's still available, but just so you're aware of that, because that will probably be something that,
Right,
that public comments on.
right.
Can we make it public?
Well, anything that's on the website is gonna be public, it's just, I'm talking about your 3-ring binders.
Right. Right.
Well, I did like the binder on the table up front that had the full packet for the,
But we only do one of those,
Yeah.
but I make the QR code in the interest of we're trying to cut down on our paper
Yeah.
use.
so that,
Yeah.
that doesn't,
Intricacies.
Yeah. Boards like,
So you guys know this, I'd rather than tell you, this is how to system, how to do it, whatever makes the most sense. For us to have access and the public to have access in the most streamlined way.
we do a shared drive, so you guys always have access to it, but my recommendation from just the years I've been doing this would be that if you know there's gonna be documents that you're gonna be referring to specifically for that thing, I would make it a part of the packet so that the public who are following this meeting have access to that and we know where it's gonna be,
Okay.
but it would be digital. But we could also create those folders for you too. I mean, the binders or whatever, if you wanted to do that, it would just be a matter of making sure to identify ahead of time what documents you are going to be using so that we can make sure that those are available digitally to people who are interested.
Or hyperlinked from the agenda or.
We can do that too. Hyperlinking back to exactly where they're stored on the website. Yeah, you got it.
Trying to not print 20 extra pages.
I still do think a shared folder for the committee itself would be a good idea though. Because there's gonna be times when you guys are going through stuff and you're like, what did that one, state, what was that one comment, what exactly did it say? And it may get easier for you guys to be able to find that stuff.
Mhm.
So you can be prepared for your meetings, since you guys are the ones having the discussions.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I have tried to track just on my own the actual nuts and bolts of decisions. And I'll update that based on, even if it's just a recommendation, just so we have that. And I think we'll probably want to look at that document possibly next meeting. So, and since that's something that I do on my own, yeah, having that be a shared document would be good.
Okay.
Anything else? Anything else in terms of preparation for the next meeting?
Questions on that, or is it just the one?
I think not.
I think if I may just clarify, the timing, it would be wonderful to have the shared folders before the next meeting so we can see, I mean, just as a new member, so I can see everything that's in there. And thank you, Scott, for providing the executive summary.
And that'll be AI generated again as usual?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's quite a thing that comes back. And certainly makes my job easier and just has a lot more detail than I would be able to capture. And I did make a note at the end that this is originally AI generated. Ruben does an initial edit and then I give it the more kind of personal touch. Seems to work.
That's great,
Yeah. Well, if there's nothing else, we could probably adjourn this meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn? Adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Shirley. Thank you, staff.
Thank you.